Hey guys, hope everyone is well. I'm going to take a little look at silver, gold and platinum in this video, purely because precious metals are seasonally bullish at this time of year. So, basically looking at the averages for how prices moved for precious metals, over the past 50 or so years, we see that generally price moves up from January up until at least mid-February and potentially end of February into March, but certainly until mid-February. So I'm looking for opportunities to get long on precious metals. So let's have a little look at some of these charts and see if we can identify some nice little areas where potentially we could buy from. So going to start with silver here. Now you can see silver is in this descending channel, and that's actually happened or formed after this bullish impulse here. We actually break the high with this high here, so you would actually class this as the end of the impulse. Now if I was to draw a Fibonacci retracement tool from the start of the impulse to the end, we see that price came into a 61.8% retracement and has moved up. It also bounced off the 50% retracement here. But what we can do is potentially we can look at this structure as maybe a bullish flag pattern or the correction of this impulse, and we would expect price to push to the upside. So where would I like to get along this market from? Well, it's going to be a couple of different areas depending on what happens with price itself. Now of course, if I see price break out of this structure, then I will look for a pullback and potentially maybe even a retest of the structure, and then buyers to come in to go long. Okay. Now what could also happen is that price could drop into, and would be my preference, doesn't mean it's going to happen, but this would be my preference, the price drops into this 22 zone, where I could even drag that across, look, where we've seen lots of buying come in. This is a really good value area for silver, some resistance there as well. So 22 would be a great area. You can see I've actually got my alert set there. Let me just make sure it's it's just above 22. I sometimes have them slightly above the level I'm interested in, so it alerts me ahead of time, but really you could, this is a weekly chart, you could, when the alert goes off, if it goes off, you could simply move to the daily and possibly look for an end of day trade long, or even, as you can see, weekly. Well, I mean, that candle there was lovely. Nice little rejection. Anything else? That candle there was quite nice. So even on the weekly, if you're short of time, you could look at the weekly time frame, but preferably looking at the daily to get involved. But of course, that depends on your time availability. Now obviously you could even look for a buy limit in this area, but then you'd have to think, where are you going to put your stop loss? Maybe below these lows here, but 22 ideally would be my place to look for longs on silver. And of course that is out of the picture if we start to break out before we break and close above this structure, without actually coming into my 22 zone here. So yeah, keep your eyes on 22 because that is the ideal situation for me. Coming to 22, and obviously we need to see buyers come in at that price because nothing is guaranteed in trading. We do have US CPI news on Thursday, which is going to cause a lot of volatility for the US dollar. So yeah, look out for that Thursday. That's about 1:30 p.m. UK time, I think. Let me just double check that on another screen. Yeah, 1:30 p.m. GMT. That is on Thursday, January the 12th. Now gold. So I'm looking for silver to drop, form a higher low, and then push up. Very, very similar picture on gold. Now gold, I'm actually looking personally for, you can see this little short trade here. If I put this on, let me just, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to hide this out the way for a second. I'm just going to leave it on the monthly. Now what we're seeing, or what I'm seeing I should say, is price on the weekly for gold is at a weekly resistance zone. Okay, we can see that resistance there, that resistance there. So we might see a little bit of pullback on gold before we see the next move up in line with seasonality. Now let me just put moving averages back on. We can see that the weekly moving averages here have crossed into a bullish order. So if you're not too sure about moving averages, this is the 20 exponential moving average, this is the 8. When the 8 is below the 20 and there's some gapping between them, that means basically we're in a downtrend. You can see as they cross here, they start to reverse. So the 8 this time is above the 20, and they start to see gapping and separation between moving averages. We are now looking for to buy it. We're looking at an uptrend, and what I'm seeing is a really, really nice potential area for price to come back to, which is 1800. This little zone here where we've seen support, we've seen resistance, broke through resistance, and you know, we often look for a broken resistance level to become a new support level. So that would be back down at 1800. Now whether the CPI news on Thursday helps it price push towards that, we will wait and see. But what I'm initially seeing on the daily with my moving averages is we are in our resistance zone here, and there's a little bit of a gap between where price is and this 8 moving average here on the daily. So you can see price pulling into the moving averages, away, pulling into, and you know, I would expect that if we break yesterday's low, then we'll head towards this 8 moving average here on the daily and test it. So that could be a, you know, a target 1 if you like for you, if you like the idea of shorting this market, and target 2 maybe in this 1800 zone. But yeah, ideal place to buy is 1800. But of course, if we break this resistance zone, I will look for a retest and then look to go long from there. Okay, so that's around about 1878, 1877. Okay, so ideal place to buy gold is 1800 if we see buyers come in at that price. Last but not least, platinum, which is very, very bullish at this time of year. Now platinum has broken out of this structure. Now whereas silver is right at the top of that structure, we've actually seen platinum break out of the structure and close outside. You can see already though where I've got my alerts. I'm going to put my moving averages back on for a second, and what I would like to see is for price to come back down and test this 8 moving average on the weekly. Okay, because it matches up with a resistance level here where that 8 moving average is. What I'd like to see is price just have a little push down into that zone, and then I want to see buyers come in again. Okay, so we can see the moving averages here are in a bullish order. We've broken out of the structure, so this is, you know, this is a buyer's market. However, we don't just want to jump in for buys, we want to get in at a decent price. So yeah, I've got my alert set around about 1040 into this zone, and it looks like it could be topping out here for the moment. Let me just draw my little zone in. Can you see these highs here? It's having trouble breaking through this level. Had a nice bullish push here, but that has not continued to follow through. So that could be the top of the impulse, and we could be having a little pullback into my zone here where I will be looking for buyers to come in. So that's around 1040. So there you go, guys. Those are my ideal places to buy these precious metals. Silver 22, of course, with price action, not just going to be buying there for no reason. Gold ideal price is 1800 with price action, and platinum ideal price to buy with price action is 1040. Have a little look, see what you think, and yeah, let's see what happens this week, and especially with CPI on Thursday. Should be interesting. Take care, guys. Bye.